Hey guys, I'll show you this welder. This welder's was on eBay, and what ended up happening was when I started looking at welders, a lot of these big transformer welders that are kicking around, the prices are kind of reasonable on them because a lot of people are going to the newer square wave, the heck are they call them, EGBT or whatever technology, TIGs that the boxes are smaller and lighter. And anyways, make a long story short, I was still kind of feeling bad about missing out on that Miller Ideal Arc 250 that was for $750, which included a water-cooled torch with a Miller cooler and all the hoses and everything. And then I saw this one. This one came up beginning of April, and it was listed for $4.99 and it didn't get any bids. And then he listed it like 2 more weeks in a row, $4.99, no bids. The freight on this thing would be kind of high, so that kind of means that, if it's not a local buyer, not really a good deal. Then he dropped it to $3.99, and I started to take a little bit more notice. And originally he didn't have as many photographs in the listing. Then that didn't sell at $3.99. They dropped the price again. Inadvertently, they had dropped it to $1.99. $200 is less than the scrap value of this thing as far as the copper goes. And the thing is that this is the welder and also a Dynaflux water cooler sitting right there on top of it. So then that really caught my eye. 24 hours later, they had edited it and fixed it so that it was back to $2.99 because they realized they meant to go from $3.99 to $2.99, not $3.99 to $1.99. Long story short, contacted the guy to see whether or not I could inspect this thing. He explained to me that he's not local and that it's in a shop that they're cleaning out, and basically he has to drive up from Connecticut to meet me, and that he really doesn't have the time or staff to do that for just inspection. But he said that he'd be willing to meet me and use his forklift and put it on my truck for me if I ended up buying it. And we talked a little bit more, and we came to an agreement that if it didn't sell this time, that he wouldn't list it again, and we just do a deal. So cash deal. So I went up and I met him today, and a nice enough guy. But let me tell you what really got me interested in this thing. I was checking it out, and from the photographs here, I can't really tell a lot about it. But I did notice, there's the water cooler. There's a foot pedal right there. And originally when he listed this, he didn't have as many photos. And then he added this photo of the front faceplate. And from this, I was able to get the model number because he didn't put it in the description. This is an Airco Healy welder 3A/DDR 245 HPA/B-D. What's nice about this is an AC/DC welder that has high frequency. So you can use this as a TIG unit on aluminum. And then when I did a little more research, there's a picture of the torch. There's that. Then I noticed, he's even got a tank of argon there with that. He doesn't even talk about what, whether that goes with. So when I got to talk to him on the phone, came to realize he's basically selling the whole setup ready to go. All the hoses, all the cables, the TIG torch, a stinger, ground clamp with a ground lead, the flow regulator, the water cooler, basically everything you need right there as a package. So I decided to pull the trigger on this. The other thing I learned about this unit was when I Googled that model number, I was able to learn that this is actually made by Miller, and this is in fact it's comparable to a certain Miller model. So my understanding is it's pretty much the same welder as this Miller 330A/BP model. You can see it's got the switches over here for the high frequency. It's got the start adjustment. There's your range selector, and then the AC/DC selector, your DC polarity, and then AC, your current, and then you've got a remote current control, remote current control and remote contactor control. So that's basically the same exact setup as what's on the front of this Airco. So I knew how big, I had seen the Ideal, the Miller, it's a Dial Arc or Ideal Arc, I forget which is which. I'd seen the 300 when I went and looked at it and saw him demo it. I saw how big that was, and I thought, oh, all right, so this thing must be about the same size. So then today I go there to pick this up, and I only saw it in the photographs, and there was nothing in the photographs to give it scale. So you can imagine, my jaw almost dropped when he opened the garage door and I saw this thing in the flesh. That's in the back of the Chevy truck here. Let me show you some dimensions. I still don't know the weight on this thing, but this thing is a monster. This thing is, it's 33 inches deep. Okay, so it's probably about the same size as that other Miller I was talking about, as far as depth goes, and then it's 22 inches wide. But the thing that floored me was the height on this sucker. This thing is 45 inches high. It's massive. I still don't know the weight. So here's my front panel. You can see the start adjustment. It's got a power on off. It's got high frequency. You can put it to start, off, or continuous. It's got a range selector here, and then it's got the this is your AC/DC selection, straight polarity or reverse polarity. So that's the same as electrode positive, electrode negative. Your range, okay. Then you've got here is where your remote current control, which bypasses this, would tie in, and here's your remote contactor control. This is your on-off, where that would tie in. Switch from remote to standard. All your connections are underneath here. I can't show you that. There's also the contactors for the high frequency are under there, and some other stuff. What threw me off on the size was I didn't realize how tall the cooler is. So when the cooler was sitting on it in the picture, I just kind of used that as scale. But the cooler is actually, let's see, cooler looks like it's about 2 feet tall. Yeah, so there we go, a Dynaflux cooler, and it's actually 25 inches tall. Well, I like to show you everything I got with it, but right now I kind of pressed for time, so I got to get this thing off the truck. Got to go get the Oliver. Good thing I got this loader. Alright, the loader had no problem lifting this, which I shouldn't be surprised because it was able to lift the index mill, which certainly weighs more than this, although it could barely lift the mill. I think that was at its outer limits there. So I've only got this up a couple of inches, and it's kind of pushing against that side rail there, so I'm going to carefully just drive the truck out from underneath it and then lower it down closer to the ground before I move. Alright, 3 feet in the air is not where I want that to be right now, so I'm going to lower it down and then drive it out of here.